Picture this. The year is 1757. The Indian subcontinent is not a united entity, but a collection of small kingdoms and principalities, with the Mughal Empire on the decline. This vast expanse of land, rich in resources, is a tempting prize for any ambitious power. And as the Mughal Empire's influence wanes, a new player enters the stage, the British East India Company. The British East India Company, a trading organization backed by its own private army, is slowly but surely establishing a foothold in the region. Its influence is growing not just in terms of trade, but also in the political sphere. But this rise is not going unnoticed. The local rulers, particularly the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, are growing increasingly uneasy. The Nawab himself is a young ruler, recently ascended to the throne after the death of his grandfather. He is ambitious, keen to assert his authority and secure his position. However, he is also surrounded by a court full of intrigue and treachery, making his task all the more difficult. And then there's the British East India Company. The company's activities are becoming more brazen, and its thirst for power more evident. The Nawab, aware of the threat posed by the company, is not one to sit back and watch his power diminish. He begins to push back, leading to a growing friction between the two. The company, on its part, is not willing to back down either. It is determined to secure its interests in the region, even if it means going against the Nawab. This tug-of-war between the Nawab and the company is creating a climate of tension and uncertainty, a powder keg waiting to explode. In the midst of this, the common people are caught between the ambitions of the Nawab and the British East India Company. They are mere pawns in a game of power and profit, their lives hanging in the balance. This volatile mix of power, politics, and profit would soon explode into what we now know as the Battle of Plassey. June 23, 1757. The small village of Plassey becomes the stage for a decisive clash between the British East India Company and the Nawab's troops. The British forces, led by Robert Clive, and the Nawab's army, under the command of Mir Madan, were positioned on opposite banks of the Bhagirathi River. This strategic location of Plassey, in the heart of Bengal, was a pivotal point in the region's trade routes and waterways, making it a coveted prize for any power. The British East India Company, a commercial entity with its own private army, was more than ready to seize the opportunity to expand its influence and control. On the other side, Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the ruler of Bengal, was determined to resist this foreign encroachment on his territory. The British forces, although outnumbered, had an ace up their sleeve. Unbeknownst to the Nawab, his trusted commander Mir Jafar was secretly in cahoots with the British. Mir Jafar, discontented with the Nawab's rule and hungry for power, had promised to switch sides during the battle, a treacherous move that would tip the scales in favor of the British. The stage was set. The British forces, confident of their inside man, poised themselves for the upcoming confrontation. The Nawab's troops, unaware of the impending betrayal, prepared to defend their land. But amidst all this, the air was thick with tension and uncertainty. Would Mir Jafar follow through with his plan? Would the British succeed in their ambitious endeavor? And what would be the fate of Bengal, the richest province of the Mughal Empire? As the day wore on, a storm began to brew, both literally and metaphorically. The soldiers on both sides, as if sensing the storm's ominous warning, steeled themselves for the battle that would decide the future of their land. As dawn broke, the stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of Indian history. The battle begins with an exchange of artillery fire, the British cannons proving superior to the Nawab's. As dawn breaks on the 23rd of June in 1757, the air is thick with tension and the scent of gunpowder. The Battle of Plassey is not merely a clash of armies, but a collision of ambition, treachery, and destiny. The British, led by Robert Clive, employ a strategy of patience and precision. Their cannons, superior in accuracy and power, begin to tear through the Nawab's ranks. The British forces hold their position, focusing on weakening the Nawab's artillery before making any aggressive moves. The monsoon rains arrive at midday, a common occurrence in Bengal, but with uncommon implications on this day of battle. The Nawab's forces, confident in their numerical superiority, cover their gunpowder and wait out the rain. The British, however, take a gamble. They keep their gunpowder dry and their cannons ready, betting on a swift end to the downpour. As the rain subsides, the British cannons roar back to life, catching the Nawab's forces off guard. Their gunpowder, still damp from the rains, fails to ignite. The British begin their advance, capitalizing on the moment of disarray and confusion among the Nawab's ranks. This is when the pivotal moment of betrayal occurs. Mir Jafar, the Nawab's commander, had already pledged his allegiance to the British. As the British advance, his troops hold back, refraining from joining the fight. The Nawab's forces, already thrown into chaos, find themselves further weakened by this unexpected treachery. The Nawab, Siraj-ud-Dawla, realizing the tide of battle has turned against him, makes a desperate attempt to rally his troops, but it's too late. The momentum is firmly with the British, and the Nawab's attempts to turn the tide prove futile. As the Nawab fled the battlefield, it became clear that the day belonged to the British East India Company. A day of battle marked by superior strategy, a gamble on the weather, and a pivotal act of betrayal had reshaped the future of the Indian subcontinent. The Battle of Plassey, lasting just a few hours, had far-reaching consequences. It was more than a clash of arms. It was a turning point that changed the course of Indian history. In the immediate aftermath, the East India Company installed Mir Jafar as the Nawab of Bengal. A puppet ruler, Mir Jafar's ascension was a strategic move. The company, aiming to control trade and politics, found in him a willing ally. However, the alliance was short-lived. The company's insatiable demand for money and power soon turned Jafar into an enemy. His rule was marked by corruption, discontent, and the company's increasing interference in the affairs of Bengal. But the implications of the Battle of Plassey extended beyond the borders of Bengal. It paved the way for the East India Company to establish control over the rich and fertile lands of India. The victory at Plassey boosted the company's confidence, propelling its ambition to become a territorial power. The company's influence began to spread, and with it, the seeds of British colonial rule were sown. The Battle of Plassey also exposed the cracks in the Indian subcontinent's political structure. It demonstrated how internal divisions, treachery, and the lack of a united front could be exploited by foreign powers. It served as a stark reminder of the dangers of disunity and the strength of foreign intrigue. The consequences of the Battle of Plassey were far-reaching indeed. It triggered a chain of events that led to the establishment of British rule in India, a rule that lasted for nearly 200 years. It marked the beginning of a period of intensive exploitation of India's resources, the effects of which are still visible today. The Battle of Plassey marked the beginning of a new chapter in Indian history, one that would be written under the shadow of the British Crown. A chapter filled with struggle and resistance, but also one that shaped the India we know today. So, what can we learn from the Battle of Plassey? In the grand tapestry of history, the Battle of Plassey stands as a pivotal moment, a turning point that forever changed the destiny of an entire subcontinent. It's a tale of power, intrigue, betrayal, and the unyielding march of empire. Let's revisit the key events. The battle took place on the 23rd of June, 1757, between the British East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal, alongside his French allies. It was a day of great significance, not for the scale of the battle, but for the consequences that followed. The East India Company, under the command of Robert Clive, was vastly outnumbered. However, thanks to a potent cocktail of strategic maneuvering and backroom diplomacy, Clive was able to secure a decisive victory. This victory was largely due to the betrayal of Mir Jafar, one of the Nawab's key commanders, who switched sides in a bid for power. The aftermath of the Battle of Plassey was monumental. The British East India Company gained control of Bengal, the richest province of the Mughal Empire. This marked the beginning of British colonial rule in India, a period that would last nearly 200 years and profoundly shape the nation's future. In the larger context of global history, the Battle of Plassey exemplifies the intricate dance between power and morality, empire and independence, and the profound impact of individual choices on the course of events. It underscores the sometimes fragile nature of alliances and the unpredictable outcomes that can arise from ambition and treachery. But perhaps most importantly, It serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of empire and the indelible footprints left by colonialism on cultures and societies around the world. In wrapping up, the Battle of Plassey isn't just a story of a single day's battle. It's a testament to the ripple effects of historical events, their far-reaching implications, and the extraordinary power of individuals to shape the course of history. It's a reminder that sometimes the course of history can hinge on a single day in a small village like Plassey,